What's up, YouTube? Back again with more Direct Sports Daily.
What's up, guys?
Uh, Ready to get the podcast recorded, Rob?
Yeah, let's do it.
All
Talk about
right.
some NBA playoffs.
So, I'm hitting record in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Direct Sports Daily, your source for a fresh new take on all the latest headlines from the world of sports. And now, here's your host, George Bennett, featuring special guest, DSD lead correspondent, Robert Gluck.
It almost got me again. I almost started talking like right after I heard my name said. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today's April 14th, 2017. And this is the Direct Sports Daily NBA Playoff Preview. And it wouldn't be right if we didn't have Rob on the show for this one. How's it going, Rob?
Hey, I'm good. I'm excited to talk some basketball.
So, let's get things started with... Let's go with the East.
Oh, God. Easy. That'll take 4 minutes. Cleveland wins.
Way to sort of leave him in suspense there, Rob.
I'm new to this. Sorry.
Well, yeah. So the first round matchups we got. Boston's gonna be taking on who? Chicago.
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Yep. They're the 1 and 8. That's the 1 versus 8 seed.
We got Cleveland taking on Indiana. Toronto taking on Milwaukee. Washington taking on Atlanta. So, let's start with the 1-8 matchup, Boston versus Chicago. How you see this one playing out?
You know, if you are a basketball fan and truly like the NBA, a lot of people are knocking the playoffs kind of because of where we're going to go. It's just going to be the Cavs versus the Warriors, you know. But I look at these matchups, and I'm excited for a lot of them. And this is one of them that I think will be a good series. Chicago was a top, considered, a preseason top, 3 or 4 finisher by a lot of people in the East, obviously not in the NBA. And they've just they struggled a lot kind of in the middle of the season. I feel like they've been playing well lately. You see what they can do when they play strong. They're 4-0 against Cleveland, and I know at least 2 of those games I caught a lot of, and that wasn't Cleveland taking it easy. So, I think the Celtics just have too much talent all around. I think their coaching, the young coach there, struggling
Brad
with his
Stevens.
name. Brad Stevens, who's just done such a good job in such a short amount of time with a team that was pretty messy when he got there. I think he'll have a good game plan, but I think this is potentially a 6-game series, maybe 7 if, some madness happens with some, late second heroics from a Dwayne Wade keeping, Chicago alive. I think the Celtics win. Ultimately, they've been really consistent. They're so deep. But I'm looking forward to this. I mean, the Chicago Bulls have a true superstar in Jimmy Butler. Dwayne Wade at any point still has potential to have breakout 30-point games. So I'm excited for this. It's an old school, power, the Bulls and the Celtics. I think the arenas will be rocking. I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. So this is a series I'm looking forward to. And it would not surprise me if it was a lot tougher for the Celtics than a lot of people think. But that's my look at it. I don't know if you how you feel about like the Bulls. I mean, they obviously didn't play that well if they're an 8 seed. So I don't know if you're thinking the same as me on that.
I couldn't disagree more. I think this is going to be an easy one for the Celtics. I think the Bulls are actually easily the worst team in this field of playoffs. Like, I have them dead last by quite a significant margin behind probably the Pacers and the Trailblazers out in the West. This is not a good team. I think they've overachieved at several points in the year. They don't have a true shooter on this squad. And getting rid of Doug McDermott didn't help that. You lost Taj Gibson, who was one of your main threats to bang around inside. Nikola Mirotic, at times, like, he looks like he just doesn't care out there anymore because we once thought he could be something, but Wade and Rondo in the backcourt, I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
I haven't liked that ever since they picked those two up. And Boston, they're the class of the East right now. They're playing the best ball. I don't see them struggling at all. But,
I mean, you're right about a lot of that, almost all of it. I don't know. Something tells me Chicago, I mean, has a level that they can go to that I've seen them do. I didn't take into account honestly that they gave up. I really like Taj Gibson. I thought was really important for them. So that does concern me now that you mentioned that. But I'm hoping it's a good series. I don't know. Like, don't you? I think the Celtics have something to prove. They're still young. They haven't shown anything as far as playoff success. So that's something that I'm also really curious to watch. And see if they are truly legit, or if they're one of those maybe regular season teams, and then they get to the playoffs and you kind of see they struggle maybe without a true superstar. Because I don't know, Isaiah Thomas, he's going to be new to, he needs to play like he's been playing. Kenny, he's going to have matchup troubles. He's kind of a liability on defense always. I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm hoping it's a close series. It might not be.
I think the Celtics are just too deep, a lot deeper than a lot of people realize. It's a lot more than just Isaiah Thomas coming through in the fourth quarter. You got Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, Jaylen Brown, was the third overall pick in the draft for a reason. He's starting to come on. Guys like Kelly Olynyk, Tyler Zeller, Amir Johnson in that front court, along with Al Horford. Jonas Jerebko can play that stretch four, coming off the bench. Marcus Smart and his defense is insane. I think the depth of the Celtics is something that doesn't get talked about anywhere near enough. And I think that's going to ultimately be what suffocates a lot of these teams against them in the playoffs. But moving on to the 2-7 matchup, Cavaliers-Pacers. A lot has been made around the league about can they flip that switch. Everybody's like, there's no switch to flip and all that. I think there definitely is. I think this team clearly wasn't putting forth the effort it needed. You've seen LeBron come out and sort of like hint at he knows what's going to eventually lead to their success and all this, and nobody else knows, and blah, blah, blah. He's sort of being coy with the media.
Yeah.
I think this team is not playing anywhere near its best ball and will now that it's championship time.
Yeah, do you see a sweep here for like maybe 5, or what do you think overall?
I'm probably going sweep for both of those series, Celtics Bulls and Cavs Pacers. I just think the talent level, like it's the haves and the have-nots in the NBA right now, more so than it's ever been. And these two teams are have-nots, both the Pacers and the Bulls. They both have one legit superstar on their team that they probably just need to trade away to enter rebuilding mode. But outside of that, I don't see anything getting done here.
We disagreed on the first round. This one we're best friends on. I joked, this will take 4 minutes. I do have a lot of trepidation that we'll get to with the Cavs. I really do. And I'm not a fan, but I'm their biggest cynic when it comes to they can turn it on and off. I think they can turn it on to another level, but they don't even need to. I think in this series, and I think this is a perfect first round matchup for them. A team that doesn't really pose a threat to me. If Paul George has a great series, you're still looking like you're not going to win a game or two. He has to play amazing, and then I'm not sure they can win that game because what's around him isn't anything that you fear. Kyrie's not afraid of Jeff Teague, and down the block they have the center Turner, but he's not a dominant force. Yeah, he can blow up for 18 or 20. That's what he does. That's not scary. So there's a good first round matchup. I think for them to sweep or maybe lose one. I wouldn't be surprised because they do play lackadaisical. Sometimes because they're very confident, and I don't think it does matter if they lose a game to the Pacers. But we'll get to it later. But I'm a little concerned about Cleveland, very, very seriously. There is problems there that we can get into maybe down the road in future playoff series. But this round, I don't see anything. 4 or 5 tops.
Okay. Moving on to what is probably the most compelling matchup of the East, the Raptors and the Bucks.
I'm excited for that.
Ultimately, I think it's just not the Bucks' year yet. I don't think this team's ready. I don't think hardly any of these guys have ever even played in a playoff series, other than maybe Chris Middleton. Has he been around long enough?
I don't think so. No, I don't think
sure. But yeah, this is Giannis. Obviously, Brogdon and Thon Maker are rookies, so they've come nowhere near this stage before. I think this is a team that is at least 2-3 years away, and if they could bring in some more solid pieces around Giannis, maybe they compete in the future. But I think Toronto, maybe this goes 6, maybe. I think Toronto adding Serge Ibaka, getting Kyle Lowry back. You still got a lot of great guys. Norman Powell, who I've been championing on this show for a while now. I think he could come up huge. DeMar DeRozan, he's a scoring machine. I say Raptors win this one 5.
Yeah, they're a dangerous team. They're a really complete team. Last year, well known if you're an NBA fan. They were in the Eastern Conference Finals, took the Cleveland to 6. It never really felt too scary for Cleveland, but you can't ignore that. They got to that level and then won 2 games, and I remember watching it. They weren't really a threat to win that series, it seemed like, but they knocked out. I mean, they improved their team though. They didn't lose anybody really, and they've gained Serge Ibaka, another good 4 who can spread you out, but he does play good defense too. He's one of those mistake erasers, as we like to call him. He can block shots at the rim, moves a lot on defense. I love Milwaukee. I wish Jabari Parker was healthy. I think with his added athletic,
I almost forgot he was a thing.
Yeah, they were. Honestly, they've been playing better without him, but I think it's just kind of a one of those fluke things. I think they would have done this leap. I think they just needed a couple months. Jason Kidd coaching them up and just getting a system and getting into a flow, and now they're in that flow. I think if he was there, they would still be in that flow, and he'd add just such an extra presence. He'd make it more interesting, but I really think this is a 5-6 game series. I think you're right, spot on. Your biggest playoff knowledgeable person is probably Dellavedova, and he certainly isn't gonna lead you to the promised land. He's a great defender, a good leader, but he's not the leader where he's gonna win a game or 2 or inspire you to win a game or 2. So I'm thinking just a little too young. I'd be pumped to see it go to 6 or 7 because I really like Milwaukee. I think they're exciting. I think the Greek Freak is super exciting. So yeah, my gut tells me 5 or 6. I'm hoping for 6 or 7, and I hope it's exciting. I want Milwaukee to do well.
I think we all hope for Game 7, Rob. No matter what it is, we're all hoping for Game 7 unless it's your team.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I would love to see that matchup, but I've always liked Milwaukee. I've liked how they've kind of built this roster, so I'm hoping they do well. But I think Toronto is the one of the bigger threats, and we can talk about other ones in the East too, the Cavs. But I think they're gonna come out and play hard to show that they're not just a 3 seeds, bad season. We're not playing that well. So
Okay, wrapping up the first round of the East, I say the Wizards kind of are going to be that rare 4 seed to pull off a sweep. The Hawks clearly just they stumbled into this 5th playoff spot. They weren't really trying to get it. Like it's clear, like they were trying to make moves to go into rebuild. They realized they don't have the superstars to actually compete in the league and compete for a championship, but somehow they just ended up being better than everybody, so they're just kind of there.
Yeah.
I think between the top 4 seeds in the East, we won't see more than 3 games lost.
Wow. I mean,
like in the first round.
I agree with you with that series. Atlanta, honestly, I don't know how Atlanta wins, so maybe they win 2 games because I don't know. I mean, Dwight Howard's never been that guy. I mean, they got Eric Schroeder is their point guard. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been playing well, I know, but he's not a superstar or
he's
star
not his
yet.
dad.
Yeah, and then Paul Millsap is always, a consistent player, but again, not like a scary star where you're worried he's going to just start putting up 40 and winning games. So yeah, I agree. 4 or 5 games. If the Hawks win more than that, I guess I wouldn't be surprised because they have won games somehow. But I think Washington's playing really well. They've played so well the second half of this season. They started 3-12, so to jump up and grab a 4 seed and be playing well. And they've got a great backcourt, one of the better ones in the league. So as long as I think they bring it and play how they can play, they're fine. And maybe lose a game.
So, Rob, go ahead and give me your Eastern Conference Finals matchup and your winner of the East.
Okay, yeah, it is a rough go for the Cavaliers right now. Everyone's beating them up. Like you said, they're talking them down, and then the people that love them, whether it's their fans or people that believe in them, are talking about this is what they do. They're a really hard team for me to figure out. Spoiler alert, they're in my Eastern Conference Finals. I would say Eastern Conference Finals for the Cavs on one side. I think they will turn it on to another level, because that level to me is just LeBron James playing harder, to be honest. And he is that star that drags people. He starts playing, he's going to be everywhere. He's going to be doing everything. And you'll see Tristan Thompson start playing better defense, rebounding better, getting those annoying 6 to 8 offensive boards. If you're not a fan of the Cavs, where in the regular season you don't notice that stuff. He's not doing that as much, but he's capable. He did it against the Warriors, last year. He's getting all these offensive rebounds. J.R. Smith, he's definitely stepped way back, and I don't know if he has another level. So he's one of the concerns if they can come back to that level they had last year. Kyrie, I never worry about. I mean, he can do whatever. He's such an offensive power. He'll be fine. Kevin Love, he's been playing honestly well, so that's honestly different from last year where he was kind of struggling, and then in the playoffs he was pretty bad for most of those playoffs, outside of a few bursts. So they're in trouble, and they are the number 22 or 23 defensive team in the league, which is historically that's not like them. Even when they've struggled in the past,
they're second to last since the All-Star break, 29th.
Yeah, wow, yeah, that's a huge concern that you can't ignore history, and the history was it's been 40 or 50 years since a team has struggled or has been that low defensively. And then there's another stat, I forget how many years, it's been decades, but they have a losing record on the road, which is no one's won the NBA championship since that. Again, it's been decades, so you got to worry about them. And they're really tough to predict. I do take them in the East. I think they're going to play the Toronto Raptors. I think the Raptors are going to show everybody that they were always the second. Would they play Toronto in the second round?
Yes.
Or in the oh, so never mind. No. So they'll knock them out on the second round. And then I'll take the Celtics then from the other side. I don't see a lot of people beating them because of their coaching and their depth until they get to Cleveland. And then against Cleveland, I just think they're just not there yet. They don't have enough superstar power. Isaiah Thomas can't do it by himself, and I think he'll struggle having to guard someone pretty talented on offense who's running around a lot of screens, or Kyrie, and then on offense he has to do a lot for them in the playoffs, I think, and I just don't know if he's capable of it at this point, especially without like a second huge star on your team that draws attention, draws doubles, gives him more room to operate. So, I think it'll be a really close series, maybe 6 games, and I'll take Cleveland.
Yeah. I got the exact same. Boston, Cleveland. Cleveland wins it, in 6. But just looking at things, I'm just looking at the Cavs' entire second unit. Darren Williams, Amon Shumpert, Derek Williams, Channing Frye, and Kyle Korver. When you got that, I think that's a team that you could put on a court with the Brooklyn Nets and they would just destroy them. And I think just that sheer depth, having a full second unit of guys, like I don't think anyone can match up with that. Not even Boston. I talked about Boston's depth. They don't go as deep as the Cavs. A lot of these mid-season moves. You even got guys like Larry Sanders, Richard Jefferson. Maybe James Jones makes a rare appearance off the bench and hits a 3 at some point. I don't see anybody stopping the Cavaliers. I think there is a switch to turn on, and I think if any team could, it's this team right now. It's got LeBron James, who's been through the ringer. I think how tough he is a lot of times understated, because a lot of times we do hear him whining about some things and complaining. But, like, just consider where he was at about 6 years ago. Like, he was universally hated, and he was a pariah, and like he just doesn't care about that sort of stuff. Breaks through to win a couple championships, and I think it's just time. Like we saw it last year in the finals. He was determined. I saw a look on like that. It was the first time you saw that look on LeBron's face that you had only ever seen in like Kobe and Jordan to a certain extent. And I think even you, Rob, have to admit that that look was on his face. That just, I'm going to win this. When they're down 3-1, like in the finals, it's just that look, you know? I don't know how to describe it other than that.
It would be the example when people say he's not tough or he's not a winner like Kobe. Someone should play them those games. I am not a Cleveland fan, as you've pointed out just now. I don't really like LeBron that much. I mean, I love his talent. I love watching him play. I don't like some of the other stuff that he does off the court or is whining a little bit. That's kind of normal for stars these days. And even, Michael Jordan complained a lot, so you can't say that. But man, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And there was a very big part of me before we did this show, and I was kind of prepping, thinking about it, where I was going to take Cleveland very easily, because when LeBron James wants to go, they go, and they're fine. But I just had to kind of step back and look at, there's 45 games in the second half of the season where they're barely 500, and their defense is worse than last year. Like, that is a fact. You add Kyle Korver, which is amazing for your offense. It is terrible for your defense. He is not a defender of anybody. He's not even. JJ Redick worked really hard to be a slightly, average or above average defender. Kyle Korver doesn't really guard people. Kyrie's always struggled with defense. And then, J.R. Smith even has kind of taken a step back defensively. And so that's why I had to be, say they struggled. And I think they'll lose a few more games than they did last year or that they have in the past. But when LeBron goes, and he's kind of got that aura now that I didn't think he had until last year in the playoffs, especially the finals. And now he scares me. He's got that, like, if he wants to turn it up, he's going to turn it up to a level that we probably haven't even seen yet. And that's crazy for a 32 whatever year old 14-year vet, that there might be another level that he just takes it to that he doesn't show outside of maybe the finals or one series against maybe the Raptors if they're struggling. You'll see him go to his 41, 13, and 9, which is 3 or 4 blocks that are game-changing blocks because man, he's good, and it's scary when he plays like that. So I think we'll see it, but they have some issues, so I could they might struggle a little. We'll have to see. Just it depends if they do hit that switch, if that switch is real, because everybody else has to hit the switch too. LeBron can't literally do everything, so
yeah.
That's it. I don't know if the other players have that switch. I know he does for sure.
I think he'll just get everyone to rally around him. I think we have yet to see. I think a lot of things is the injuries throughout the year too has affected them building chemistry with certain units. They've been when you consider Kyle Korver, Derek Williams, Darren Williams, all these guys, they came in mid-season. J.R. Smith missed a good chunk of the season. So did Kevin Love. They've been defense is a lot about chemistry and communication and things like that, and they haven't been able to build a lot of that because a lot of these guys just haven't been healthy or haven't been on the team as long. So I think that's something we're gonna see get better as they go on. It can only get better from here because there are a lot of talented defenders on this roster, and the sum is not equal to the parts right now. But
yeah, well, they always say famously, if you know basketball, defense more than anything is effort. So if they are taking it easy, and I honestly don't blame them at all, because the East isn't that good. I want to get that on record too. The East is not that good. Like that, the Celtics being their main threat is that should be a fourth seed right now. The younger, still building, no true superstar besides Isaiah Thomas, who hasn't proven anything. Like that should be a 4 seed. There should be another 2 or 3 seed that is amazingly good, like the East or the West has, and there's not. So the East is bad, but to me it is. Sorry.
So we both got the Cavs. Let's head into the West where things are a bit more interesting. In the first round, we have Warriors, Trailblazers, Spurs, Grizzlies, Rockets, Thunder, and Clippers, Jazz. So let's just get started. Warriors are going to beat the Trailblazers in 4. Can we agree on that?
Yep, 4.
All right.
I have no.
Moving on to the Spurs and the Grizzlies. 4.
I'll say 5 or 6 to be honest, just because Memphis always surprises me. They're good at grinding, and people hate playing them. They will never win the series. They'll never get to.
I think 7. They're a lot like the Spurs, only not as good. They try to play a very similar game. Only the Spurs are way more efficient on the offensive end. They average 5 more points a game. I feel like the Grizzlies are the Spurs without scoring.
Yeah, and I won't, because I know we want to move through the first round pretty quickly. I won't get into I've got some concerns with the Spurs that I'm kind of putting in there too, but I'll talk about those later. I don't think it's going to be a threat really, but I could see a game or two. Just that's what the Grizzlies do, man. They beat and bang and make games awful to watch, but they might sneak out a game or two. So
okay, who you got between the Rockets and Thunder?
Everyone wants this to be such a good series, and I do too. Obviously, I would, the 2 top MVP candidates going at it. I want to see animosity. I want to see a mad James Harden, and he's always been such a chill guy, very laid back, cool, casual. I want to see him mad because he's not going to win the MVP, and it seems like he thinks he should. And Westbrook's going to be playing to win a series because that would be insane, because no one thought they could even be in the playoffs really without Durant. But I'm nervous, and I think Houston might win this in 5. That team is, you said it a few days ago, the best backcourt. They're just all around, I think, more talented, and they're in a better system to suit that talent. And I talked about, I think Oklahoma City has some talent, but their system doesn't seem, it's Westbrook go do stuff, and then you know everybody else kind of figure it out. And then D'Antonio's D'Antoni's system, D'Antoni,
Yes,
D'An,
D'Antoni.
D'An,
Mike
D'Antoni.
D'Antoni.
In his system, it's perfect for what he's assembled there, what whoever's assembled there, the GM's assembled. So I think Houston's they're gonna light this up. I think you're gonna see a lot of threes. I think they're gonna hit a lot of threes because Oklahoma City is not particularly good at defense, which you have to be to keep Houston somewhat in check. So I honestly think I think Westbrook will have crazy stats, but I don't think it will matter because Houston's just too much offensively. And I've talked about I'm scared of them for the Warriors and the Spurs. I think they're capable of running with those teams if they're making threes. So that's how I see it. I think a lot of people think it might be a little closer, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we talked about it in depth on Monday's show. 5. I think that OKC takes one of these, but I think Houston takes it in 5 for all the reasons you just named. The Clippers and Jazz, the 4-5 matchup, probably going to be the only exciting series of the first round. I think this is the only series like in the entire NBA playoffs of the first round that could actually go 7 games. I don't see anything else even sniffing 7 games other than this series. And this one, I think, is almost an absolute toss-up. Both of these teams, 51-31 in the regular season. I think, ultimately, the Clippers' experience, because it feels like they're playing a Game 7 in the first round nearly every year. So,
yeah,
I think, ultimately, that wins out in this. I think the Jazz... they're looking to take that spot that Memphis has had for years. I think they're about a year away from it. That team that's gonna be hovering around that 3 seed every single year.
yeah.
I think the
That's
Jazz
awesome.
are that team coming up. A lot of great young pieces if they're able to re-sign Gordon Hayward, of course. But yeah, I see just the experience of the Clippers outweighing all the great young talent in Utah.
Yeah, I agree. You said it. You said what I would say. The coaching too. Doc Rivers has been there. I think that's a little advantage. Yeah. The youth. I love the Jazz. Honestly, they're my favorite team to play with on NBA 2K. I don't watch them ever. I've seen I watched them play the Spurs once, and they were a lot of fun. They play really solid. Offensively, they're dangerous from a lot of different areas. Defensively, they're pretty good. They've got those solid spots of defenders, Gobert in the center is they're one of the ultimate mistake erasers in the league. George Hill's always been.
They're actually one of 2 teams in the NBA to hold opponents below 100 points a game. They were the best defense in the NBA by far at 96.8 a game.
Wow, I didn't honestly even realize they were that good. I knew they were solid. I didn't know they were one of the top. I mean, I'm hoping, I'm rooting for the Jazz. I'd love to see the Jazz. They've built the organization so well, and they've built this team through the draft, a couple free agents, the way you want to see it. And I like them, but I think you're right. And the Clippers are capable of another level, and they've been playing at it. They've been 8-1 or something the last 9 or 10 games, 8-2.
Yeah.
They've been playing at a really high level, and some of those wins were pretty impressive. They weren't just beating the pants off of the Brooklyn Nets.
They're the hottest team going into the playoffs. They're on a 7-game win streak right now.
7 game. Okay, yeah. And so that's where I take it. And I think a Game 7 or a really close Game 6 that's heartbreaking for the Utah Jazz to lose is how they'll get knocked out, because I don't think they'll go down easy. So that would be the series I'm most excited for, and I'm looking forward to.
So ultimately, I'm gonna go with the Warriors knocking off the Spurs in the Western Conference Finals. I think. We've never seen anything like the Warriors before. It is the ultimate super team. We all knew back on Independence Day last year it was going to be this. As soon as it was announced that Kevin Durant was going to the Warriors and leaving the Thunder, we all knew they were just going to blow through the league. I originally predicted 65 wins for them. They ended up doing a couple better than that. It's at 67.
Crazy.
Which surprised me a little bit. A lot of people were saying, well, they added Kevin Durant and they already won 73. They're going to win at least 75, right? That's not how it works. It's like,
nope. Watch basketball.
Doing that takes a lot of luck. Ultimately, like winning that many games, like it's mostly luck than anything. Yeah. And at the end of the day, this team's 9-1 right now in their last 10 games. I think they have too much talent for the Spurs to overcome. I am really close to picking the Spurs. I want to pick the Spurs, but I think coming off a second round matchup with the Rockets, I think the Rockets are probably going to push the Spurs to 7 games, just because they can up that tempo so easily. I think they can sort of just win games off that, just getting that up-tempo style going on you, and then it's hard to slow them down. But I think if any team could do it, it's the Spurs. Ultimately, I see the Warriors coming out on top. This team's too good, too deep, and just way too much talent.
Yeah. I'm close with you, but I have a minor, maybe other people think it's big, upset. I would take the Warriors, but over Houston.
Okay. I thought you were going to pick Houston to win the West for a second there.
No. I'm not insane, man. I am fully on board with you about what you said with the Warriors. Just unprecedented things that we don't even think about because of what they did last year. They won 65 games, or 67 games, or what? That's insane. That's an absolutely insane thing. They did that without Durant for how long was he out for? 2 months, and they went on a winning streak. Their only loss in that 9-1 is they lost. They took out all of their starters in the fourth quarter against the Jazz, and they played Durant. Well, not all. They left Durant and Zaza Pachulia in for like 3 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Is Zaza Pachulia even really a starter? Does he count as one?
He literally, they counted him in the breakdown that I was reading for that game because I was surprised to see him lose, and then I was reading. I was like, oh, and they said 3 starters.
As far as I'm concerned, they have 4 starters.
That's what I
It's some fan named Zaza Pachulia that they let come in the game sometimes.
Yeah, if you told me they had 5 starters, Andre Iguodala is definitely the 5th person to me in my head. It doesn't even matter. It'd be anybody but Zaza Pachulia. That guy clearly plays just to be kind of tall for he plays probably 12 minutes a game. I can't even imagine what he plays and if he plays more than that, I think Steve Kerr needs to be fired. No offense, Zaza, but yeah, their only loss was a game they clearly weren't too concerned about. I'm sure they still played hard, but no starter played after the 9-minute mark in the fourth quarter, and they were up by 6 when that was, when they took out those 2 starters. So they're just too good. But as far as Houston versus San Antonio, I think that'll be a really good series. A lot of fun. It's almost a toss-up to me, like you said. I think it'll go 6 or 7, and again, I always say 6 or 7 because that game 6, you can see the heartbreaking loss to the team that is right there and could easily go 7. So 6 or 7. I just like Houston. I like how they play. I don't think they could ever beat the Warriors in a 7-game series, but I think against the Spurs, because the Spurs are a little old. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili are almost non-factors. Maybe they have another little bit in their tank for the playoffs that they've been saving. I don't like at all how they and somebody brought it up, and it was somebody I don't like. I think it was Skip Bayless, who's kind of a clown, but he mentioned how the Spurs go into this shutdown mode sometimes, and he pointed out that they're not really as dominant as we think they are. As far as they're not the Cavs who've been 3 straight guaranteed. They're not the Warriors. They've been a solid dynasty, but they struggle. They get knocked out at weird points in the playoffs. And it feels kind of like a year they've been kind of not playing that well lately. I've never been a huge fan of LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's the superstar that helps, like Kawhi when he's struggling to take over a game. I think he can sometimes, but last year he disappeared after 1.5 games against Oklahoma City, a series they should have won. So I kind of think the same thing might happen, especially without Tim Duncan helping be a leader, and having Tim Duncan was still almost their best player against Oklahoma City down the stretch. Like he was the one almost keeping them in that series and winning that series. So I'll take Houston in that game, and then against the Cavs or against the Warriors, maybe five or six. I don't think they can threaten the Warriors. I think the Warriors are going to come into this playoff looking to show people how good they are, and I'm not sure they'll lose more than a couple games before they get to the finals. I really don't see them.
Yeah,
so
I got me. Warriors. I got Warriors in 6. I think throughout the entire Western Conference playoffs, Warriors lose 2 games, and it will be to the Spurs.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like if I had to, against Houston, I'd say that about the same, 1 or 2, and that's the 2 they lose or 1 they lose because that team's. I think we're going to see a new level for the Warriors. I'm excited to watch them, to be honest. I think they're going to.
We're both going Cavs Warriors. Neither one of us is going out on a limb or anything like that. Pick it.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the rubber match here in the finals. We're going to be telling our grandkids about how LeBron and Steph and Kevin Durant and all these guys met in the finals, and I think ultimately I gotta go with the team I've been saying is gonna win it all year long, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers.
We're gonna disagree on this one.
LeBron is a different person, and we, like I said earlier, we saw it last year. This is not your older brother's LeBron James. This is old, mean, curmudgeonly LeBron James. Like he's mad. He's trying to win. He's yelling at guys all over the place. He's not trying to make friends anymore. You saw he sort of got in Steph Curry's head a bit last year.
Yeah,
Steph Curry was thrown off by it.
Yes,
and is Kevin Durant that sort of alpha male guy who's gonna be added to it to add that toughness? No. That guy on that team's Draymond Green, and sometimes Draymond Green can get a bit unstable, and he can't be there for you. And I think that's ultimately what killed the Warriors in last year's finals was you lost Draymond Green for Game 5, if I remember correctly, right?
Yep, the closeout game, after they had their foot on the throat.
By the time he got back for Game 6, you were already reeling. You were the Cavs were already. They had already gotten it in their heads that they were bringing this thing back.
Yeah.
So I think the ultimate X factor in all of this is Draymond Green. Can he keep it together enough, and can he sort of? Because he is the heart and soul of that team. He's their emotional leader. He's the guy that gets everybody fired up. Can he get in Steph Curry's head? Can he get in Kevin Durant's head? Can he force the toughness out of these guys that I know they have in them, obviously? These are competitors at the highest level of one of the biggest sports in the world. So can he will that out of them while also playing at a high level himself? Klay Thompson, he's going to be in and out. He'll put up 40 and play good D one night, and then next night you'll forget he's on the team. And then because that's just who Klay Thompson is. And I think ultimately LeBron James gets those guys doing what he needs to do. With the Warriors, who's the true leader of that team? It's sort of a leader by committee. It's there's no question about any of that when it comes down to LeBron. I think this whole thing, to me, I obviously I'm making less of an X and O's and strategy and this matchup kind of thing. I think it comes down to more just intangibles, heart, things like that. And I think LeBron has it. He's the clear, unquestioned leader of that franchise. He's the face of Cleveland around the world, and I think he gets that team another ring.
Yeah, everyone's talking about how the NBA season has been down a little bit, not as exciting But if you get this finals and you get this finals for the next few years, it's worth it for the NBA because this is what you want to see.
Wait. Hold. Did you say this season hasn't been as exciting?
Well, like
what NBA season have you been watching? Like this has been crazy.
Yeah, I have enjoyed it, enjoyed talking about it, reading about it. But I guess from what I've heard and read, the ratings were down pretty much across the board for the regular season compared to like last season. So, I mean, there's like Kobe was still in the league. There's other factors, but I think part of the factor is people, and I'm one of them. I didn't watch as many games as I did last year because I'm just waiting for this final. Like that's what I'm talking about. Not the. I think
that lends itself a lot to like when you look at some of these teams that are in it, like outside of Houston, they're all small market teams, like Cleveland, Boston, Toronto's rather large, but I'm not sure how much that city's truly into that team. San Antonio, you got the Bay Area with Golden State, Oakland's not that huge.
No, I'm just saying, like I said, I heard the ratings are a little down, but I'm talking if you get this finals, the NBA season's a success. This is what people want to see. You talked about like you didn't look at X's and O's and kind of took a smaller factor that maybe might not get talked about as much. I'm going to do the same thing. And to me, the biggest thing that needs to happen, and I'm taking Golden State that in 7, is Steph Curry needs to be Steph Curry. If he's the man and acts like the man, like he does, and people sometimes call it arrogant or whatever, I think they win. I think they win the championship because, to me, I watched almost every game of that series last year, and to me, Draymond was important not being there in Game 5. Andrew Bogut, missing some games at the very end. But the biggest thing was Golden State feeds off of him. The home crowd feeds off of him, and he was nowhere to be found. And when he was found, it was not the way you wanted to find him. It was getting blocked like crazy, and then having LeBron look at him.
The iconic, and
you know what?
Like behind the back pass out of bounds.
Oh my, yeah. Like he did a lot of stuff, and I want to see Steph Curry play like Steph Curry for one, hit those ridiculous threes or make those crazy layups where the crowd goes crazy, and you see the rest of the team just get like fired up to start running and gunning too. But also, I want to see him get blocked by LeBron, have LeBron jaw at him, and then turn around and jaw back at LeBron. Show that you aren't just, show that you have that fire, like you said. Let it come out of you. And because honestly, if he had gotten blocked there and LeBron jawed at him, and as a fan of the Warriors last year, I was like if he had turned around though and got back in LeBron's face a little bit, and then made a layup the next play, I would have been more fired up than if you just made that layup or not gotten blocked. Like, show me that you are, you're going to be tough. And I feel like if he plays like that, and he plays like that most of the time in the regular season, he's hitting ridiculous threes and laughing and dancing and running off the court when he hits a three at the end. He does these things. Play like that, and even if you're struggling, missing some shots, or getting torched by Kyrie, like, let that happen, but still play offensively like that, because I think he pulls that team kind of like LeBron does, but he does it on offense. And when he's going on offense, you see the other team start scrambling. He becomes such a worry. And then you see the rest of the players on his team start playing a little more free and loose, which is how the Warriors, when they play like that, they're unbeatable. When they play passing the ball, throwing it up the court, who am I guarding? I don't know. Should I be doubling down on Durant because he's looking good, but now Klay Thompson's running to the corner? That team is impossible to guard when they play like that. It's when they kind of get down, a little more boring on offense, and that kind of affects their defense. I think it's all about Steph Curry. I think he needs to show up in this finals. I think they can get through the West with him playing poorly and not being as outspoken or not emoting like he does sometimes, and letting Klay Thompson score his 40 or Durant score his 30 this night, and Draymond getting a triple-double this night. But in the playoffs or in the finals, I think he needs to be that guy with that attitude and that swagger, making Cleveland scared, and then inspiring his team to like, all right, like Steph's on it.
Ultimately, I think that is why I think that furthers, like, hearing you say all that furthers my conviction in my Cleveland pick, simply because Durant is there. Durant is probably, like, I'd put him as the number 3 player in the NBA behind LeBron and Kawhi. Durant is going to have to. He's going to have to be the one to take that final shot, and not Steph. And if there's any debate about who's the hero during crunch time, which that is a serious debate to be had. Who's the hero come crunch time for the Warriors? Is it Durant? Is it Curry? Like, I think as long as you could possibly get a different answer out of anybody on that organization, that's sort of, I think that sort of cripples you a bit to a certain extent.
I know what you mean. I agree. I know what you mean.
Because if Andre Iguodala is saying, well, Steph's going to take that shot, but then you got Klay Thompson saying he's going to take that shot, or you say Draymond's like, oh, Kevin's taking that shot. It's like,
yeah.
Or Steve Kerr's like, well, it's the open man or whatever.
I know, it's funny because I think that's what they say is I'm sure that's what Steve Kerr says, open man. But if I was
I think that open man mentality never works. You got to have your guy that you ride. I think that's clear for Cleveland. Who that guy is. I think it's clear for Cleveland who that guy is. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just agreeing with you, and I was gonna say if I was Steve Kerr, that would not be my mentality for the playoffs or for big games. It would be, open man gets the shot, Steph Curry take us there, but I would tell them straight up, final minute or two, Durant needs that ball because he is the ultimate mismatch. Steph Curry is not the ultimate mismatch just because he can pull up from 34 feet. It's the guy that's like 6'9" or 8" with the ridiculous wingspan that can drive, shoot a three, dunk it, fade away. He should be the Kobe. Like, you remember when Kobe got the ball and you just knew he would either do that or get the open shot for somebody. Like, you have to take the wide open three that Derek Fisher got. Like, Durant should be able to do that. He should get that ball in the post and be a huge mismatch that you're scrambling to either guard, or if you leave him alone, he hits it. So I agree. And that's what I'm hoping kind of happens. I hope Steph Curry gets him there, and then if there's these close games, I want to see Durant win those games. And I think they will. I think he doesn't feel the pressure like he did last year, so I'm hoping that he kind of plays like that. But yeah, let's see. Honestly, it's going to be close. I'm excited. I'm not like feeling strong conviction in my pick. I'm more maybe picking with my heart and just kind of a little bit of my gut. Like, I just think the Warriors can squeak it out. But it's close.
I think
close.
I think this certainly goes 7 regardless. But
yeah, I hope so. God, I hope so. I'd be disappointed if it didn't.
But I think that's going to about wrap it up for our NBA playoff preview. For those of you tuning in on the live stream on YouTube, we're going to get ready for the regular show. Got a few things to talk about there. You ready, Rob?
Yeah, I'm all about that.
All right.
This has been another episode of Direct Sports Daily. Thanks for listening. And to keep up with the show, follow us on Twitter at the DSD Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. Or visit our website, www.directsportsdaily.com.
Okay, you want to stop that recording and start doing?
Yeah. Do you want me just to save it like normal and everything?
Yeah.
Alright, that's saving.
What is going on? There we go.
Will I be able to send both these files in the email? It won't be like too big of a...
Yeah, that should work.
Alright, so I'll just save this. And
they're just audio files, they're not like video or anything.
So my NBA, the NBA preview is just the normal, because I didn't even think to just name NBA preview. So it's just 4/14/2017, and then I'll just name the next one like, I don't know, 4/14 Part 2.
Alright, you ready to start the second one?
It's still saving or exporting the file, so just give me 11 seconds. All right.
Let me stop the stream.